Malik Nabers is fun. Malik Nabers is good. We already knew he's fun and good, but the Giants haven't even played a football game in the month of October yet, and he is already a superstar. We're going to talk about how the Giants are relying on him. He is the source. He is the heartbeat of this Giants offense right now. We're going to talk about how much they're relying on him compared to the other wide receivers around the NFL. We're going to compare him to Odell Beckham Jr. Malik Nabers has had about 52 targets so far this season. We're going to compare him based on Odell Beckham Jr.'s first 48 targets. So we'll see how many games Odell had to play to get 48 targets. And then we'll end up talking about how maybe even Brian Dable is putting Malik Nabers in some good situations. And I want to talk about motion. But first, the reliance on Malik Nabers is crazy. I mean, we knew that he was going to be targeted a lot, but to see him targeted this much and this much relied upon is kind of crazy. And there's a question of if that can continue. So let's talk about it. Malik Nabers, he's first in receptions. He's second in receiving yards. He's tied for third in receiving touchdowns with 3. And he has 7 20-plus yard catches on the season. That's first, but I believe that's also tied for first. So the Giants, if we want to talk about their explosive passing offense, the Giants have 10 plays of 20-plus yards on the season. And Malik Nabers has 7 of them. 51% of the team's air yards. That is the third most in the NFL through the first 4 weeks of the season. And in the next-gen era, there has not been a single receiver that has ended up with a team's share of air yards of over 50% since 2018. That's when the next-gen started, I guess, tracking all this. DJ Moore had 48% in 2022. So is this usage going to continue? That's my question. And I kind of think, yes, I think this usage is going to continue, and I think it could get even better. He leads the league in deep targets. He's tied for 7th in intermediate targets, and he's second in short targets. Lo and behold, Wan'Dale Robinson leads the league in short targets between 0 to 9 yards. So he's being used a ton. Do you think it's going to continue? I think it's going to continue. I think it has to continue. And this is the chart, and this is the graph that I really want to look at. Combined target share of the top 3 players on each team, and this is through, obviously, 4 weeks. Malik Nabers dominating. There's no other wide receiver one, or there's no other wide receiver in the NFL that has a higher target share than Malik Nabers right now. And it's not even close, man. It's not even close. And this is per Doug Analytics. The Giants are targeting their top 2 receivers more often than 26 teams are targeting their top 3 receivers. There is not a lot of diversity with this Giants passing offense right now. But it doesn't feel like it's bad per se. Obviously, it could get better with the deep targets. We know that Daniel Jones needs to complete more of those deep passes. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. The Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Nabers-led offense isn't a disaster for the Giants right now. It's not great. Obviously, they're not scoring a lot of points. There have been 2 games where they haven't scored an offensive touchdown. We're settling for field goals, which isn't great. But it's just, this chart contextualized is just crazy to see. You even look at down by the Minnesota Vikings, where Justin Jefferson is at 29.3%, and then they have Aaron Jones second as a running back. Deontay Johnson is one that sticks out for the Carolina Panthers, especially as Adam Thielen's been hurt. So Deontay Johnson's one that sticks out of almost a 30% target share. Like, that's a lot. But then there's Malik Nabers that's just leading the way, pacing the way. And Wan'Dale Robinson's obviously a completely different conversation, too, on the Giants' reliance on him. What sticks out to me is when looking at the splits down by down, Malik Nabers is a perfect 12 for 12 on third down. 12 targets, 12 receptions, 9 first downs too, which is pretty successful too. For me, that's a 9 out of 12. Do whatever that's the success rate in my book. How do you like that? Over reliance is crazy, and I think it's going to continue, and I think it could even continue to get better. Now, there are some other rookies that are having really good seasons as well. Brian Thomas Jr. is having a really good season on a team that hasn't won a football game yet. And Lan McConkey, because there's no other Chargers receivers on that team, he has also a very high target share as well. But Malik Nabers over the last 10 seasons, and I don't think this counts Odell Beckham Jr.'s rookie season. So Jacob Gibbs, this chart over the last 10 seasons, Odell maybe should be on here. So I don't think it's counting him because 2015 to 2024 is the last 10 seasons. I love looking at yards per route run, and Malik Nabers being third on this list, only behind Justin Jefferson and Puka Nacua. it's very clear that the Giants are over-relying on Malik Nabers right now. His efficiency on another team or his efficiency on a team that could actually complete a deep ball down the field probably would be better. Like, you see that he leads the league in deep targets, but he has, these 20-plus yard plays, some of them being yak, but he doesn't really have that big explosive play yet, so I think that ultimately impacts the yards per route run. Puka Nacua got targeted probably more down the field. I'm just saying that by the eye test. Justin Jefferson, I know for a fact, got targeted down the field more and completed some of those deep passes more, had some more of those bigger plays. But the fact that Malik Nabers is third in yards per route run, super, super impressive over the last 10 years. Crazy what Malik Nabers is doing. All right, so let's compare the two, Odell Beckham Jr. and Malik Nabers. It's the comparison that everybody's making naturally. LSU, two really good LSU wide receivers. They're both going to the Giants. They're both having really good rookie years. Now, something to note with Odell Beckham Jr., he missed the first 4 games of his rookie season with that hamstring injury. Kind of came along a little bit slower than Malik Nabers is. Malik Nabers is off to a much faster start. So I wanted to do like a race to 52 targets because that's how many targets that Malik Nabers has right now. So it took Odell 6 games, his first 6 games, to get to 48 targets. So it's about the same. 48 targets for Odell through 6 games, and the Nabers has gotten 52 targets through 4 games. So again, Nabers through 4 games, 52 targets, 35 catches, 386 yards, 11 yards per catch, and 2.54 yards per route run. Odell's first 6 games, 48 targets, 31 catches, 463 yards, 3 touchdowns, so more yards, same amount of touchdowns. It's the yards per catch that really has Odell ahead yards-wise with the 14.93 yards per catch, but he has 1.91 yards per route run, which is still really impressive. To be around 2 yards per route run is good in the NFL. But Malik Nabers does have Odell paced through their first about 48 to 52 targets. Now, here's what's crazy about the rest of Odell's rookie season. And this isn't something that I've ever seen split up this way. His first 6 games and his last 6 games, because he played 12 games. The rest of Odell's season, 6 games, 82 targets, 60 catches, 842 yards, 9 touchdowns, 14.03 yards per catch, 3.63 yards per route run. That was number 1 in the NFL. You want to make that on a per game basis? That's 13.6 targets per game. That's 10 catches per game, 140.3 yards, and 1.5 touchdowns per game. Odell's final 6 games were crazy. That is nuts. Now, Nabers is on pace for 149 catches, 1,640 yards, and 13 touchdowns. I don't think, maybe he will hit that. Like, who freaking knows? Because this Giants offense, I don't see many other efficient answers outside of Malik Nabers unless they get Darius Slayton more involved. They have 0 involvement in the offense around tight ends right now. So maybe this insanity run for Malik Nabers does continue, but the final 6 games for Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, that's 140 yards per game through your final six games. So, obviously we're comparing the starts of their rookie season, but now how Malik Nabers is going to finish, basically we're not even a quarter of the way through. So how is he going to finish the season? Comparing that to Odell, that is tough. Like, that is a tough bar that I don't know if Malik Nabers is going to hit that. You don't have Eli Manning throwing you the ball. In 2014, 2015, Eli was still slinging it. He wasn't gun shy like he was in 2016 and then the rest of his career. So pretty crazy splits for Odell Beckham Jr. there, but through their first 50-ish targets, Malik Nabers has been more efficient, but maybe we'll check in on this as time goes on because Odell's finish to his rookie season was pretty crazy. And Odell is better in yards after the catch as well, which that doesn't surprise me because I think Nabers' average after target is shorter, but I do think Odell is just a little bit better yards after the catch. And that's not a slight towards Nabers at all. This is a fun graph. NFL rookie wide receiver seasons from 2010 to 2024. So this chart and this graph is including Odell Beckham Jr.'s season. You see highlighted, you see Rome Odunze on there, Marvin Harrison Jr., Brian Thomas Jr. You see some of the rookie wide receivers are highlighted in this. First downs per route run is the bottom axis, the x-axis, and then they have receiving yards per game is the y-axis up top. And you see Malik Nabers right up there with good old OBJ, and even a little bit better in first downs per route run. But receiving yards per game, Odell much better at, and that's due to his final 6 games of the season. Just absolutely insane run right there. But this is the chart. You really want to show how impressive Malik Nabers has been. You include a chart of Odell Beckham Jr. rookie season on it. This is awesome. This is what I really point to. All right, now I want to finish off the video with talking about motion. Motion. You hear the analytics guys talk about it all the time. Pre-snap motion is way up this year in the NFL. NFL teams are using it more. Just a couple years ago, I think its reliance and its average was like 7%, and now I think its average is up to like 25 or 26%. So the Giants use pre-snap motion on 56.5% of offensive snaps, and motion at the snap at 23.7% of their snaps. Now, due to NFL Pro and NFL Premium Plus, whatever you want to call it, I'm actually able to filter the amount of times that Malik Nabers goes in motion before the snap, and then what happens on a given play. And it's been just an eye test. I've talked about it on Talking Giants that especially stuck out during the Browns game. I think Brian Daboll has done a really good job of getting Malik Nabers in motion before the snap. And what I think that's doing is that's helping Daniel Jones diagnose what coverage is the defense in. Is somebody following Malik Nabers? Is there going to be a safety over the top that's going to follow him? Are they in man coverage? Are they in zone coverage? Maybe they flip sides. They'll flip Malik Nabers' side to, go from a cornerback that's maybe an unfavorable matchup to a cornerback that's a favorable matchup where Malik Nabers has more of an advantage. So I have loved the way that Brian Daboll, Malik Nabers, Daniel Jones, they've utilized pre-snap motion. 5 of Nabers' 7 20-plus yard plays this year have been where he is set in some sort of pre-snap motion. The circus tap touchdown versus the Browns, he was in pre-snap motion as well. 22 total targets have gone Nabers' way when he is in pre-snap motion. That's 42% of his total targets. 18 catches when he's been in motion, some sort of motion at the snap or before the snap. That's 51% of his catches when there is some sort of pre-snap motion. So I love it. I am a huge fan of it. It's one of those legal forms of cheating in the NFL. Play action is a legal form of cheating. And I think pre-snap motion to just help a quarterback diagnose what they're looking at before the snap. It's a legal form of cheating. They're doing it with Malik Nabers. And that's where you've seen the majority of his success, or at least catches-wise, half of his catches have been where he is in some sort of motion at the snap or just before the snap. And I want to end off the video by saying, talked about his reliance. We've talked about how the Giants are over-relying on him, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But I really think it could get better. I mean, here's a compilation of his 20 air yard targets so far this year. We haven't seen the big breakaway play yet. Speaking of Odell Beckham Jr., we haven't seen the big, take the little slant to the house. So we haven't seen the big play yet, that 40, 50 plus yard play. We really haven't seen it. We haven't seen the long catch yet, even though he has 7 plays of 20 plus yards, and that's tied for number 1 in the NFL. There's still more to be seen. The juice that we saw at LSU, the big yak plays, the run after catch, the big deep catches, we haven't seen that stuff yet. So the Giants are relying on Daniel Jones. He's getting so many targets. 50% of their air yards are going towards his way, and that's a ton. But I still feel like there's more. There's more of Malik Nabers that we can see. There's more to his skill set that we haven't seen yet, and that's the thing that really gets me excited. All right, I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is me just sitting in front of a microphone yapping. I maybe want to make this a weekly series over on JM Football. Maybe get 4 topics, call it a 4-minute offense. That's my idea. If you like the video, let me know. Malik Nabers, fun. He's good. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.